The Dodgers are walking into 2026 with the best rotation in baseball and Shohei Ohtani in the middle of it all. Yet somehow this roster still isn't finished. Today we're taking a clear position-by-position look at where the Dodgers dominate, where the cracks are, and why one more move could separate them from everyone else.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Harry Ruiz. That's Travis Rogers, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, is the criticism of Joe Davis fair, or are fans confusing passion with professionalism? A Dodgers fan turns down $2 million for a Shohei Ohtani baseball. Wait until you hear why. But first, we're taking a position-by-position look at where the Dodgers stack up right now compared to the rest of baseball, using projections, depth, and context to see where this roster is dominant and where, Travis, it might still need help, because we know that it still needs a little bit more help.
Yeah, it does. It needs a little help, but not as much help as maybe some other ones do. I can't wait to get into it today. On today's episode of Locked On Dodgers, brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long.
You can catch Travis every weekday from 3 to 6 on 710 ESPN LA, or stream the Travis and DeMarco show on the ESPN LA app. For me, when I'm not on the call for USC football or the Las Vegas Raiders, this is home base. This is where I get to lock in with you and talk Dodgers baseball, and honestly, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. If you're checking out the show for the first time, welcome. We're glad that you're here, and we appreciate you for giving us a shot. And to our everydayers, you already know the deal. You're the heartbeat of this podcast, and we don't do this without you. Are you watching on YouTube? Go ahead and hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe so you're locked on with us for every episode. And if you're listening in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your pods, a 5-star rating goes a long way in helping more Dodgers fans find the show. All right, let's jump in. The best roster in baseball with a few cracks? This is actually a fascinating moment to evaluate the Dodgers. They're the champs. They just landed Edwin Diaz. They brought back Miguel Rojas. And yet, if you zoom out, this roster isn't perfect. It's just incredibly strong in the most important places. Using early 2026 WAR projection models from Fangraphs as a guide, let's walk the diamond and let's go piece by piece, because when you zoom out and look at the full roster picture, all 11 areas you can rank across baseball: position players, DH, rotation, bullpen. The Dodgers aren't just good, they're dominant when it counts. And they lead baseball in 3 of those 11 spots. Travis, the first 2 are very easy. DH, starting rotation. Let's see if you can guess the third one that they're #1 of right now.
Shortstop?
No.
No.
It's a new one.
A catcher?
No.
No. Okay.
They're both top 10 in those positions, yeah. But after the acquisition of Edwin Diaz, the bullpen is ranked #1 in WAR at the moment. Fangraphs is what they say, because DH, Shohei Ohtani, enough said.
Yeah, sure.
Moving on. Starting rotation, we all know. Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Ohtani, plus depth, plus youth, plus upside. Next. Those 2, we know that they're #1. But bullpen, I mean, Edwin Diaz literally changes everything for the Dodgers right there, including their WAR projections. They're #1 in baseball right now.
Yeah, so the WAR projections that they're using, this is for the upcoming season, not what they've done collectively. So, okay, I'm gonna throw this in there, Harry. You tell me if I have this right or not. Fangraphs is expecting Tanner Scott to bounce back, aren't they?
They're expecting the bullpen as a whole to be way better than they were last year. And maybe that's right. That right there was a weakness for the team, because they were getting to the 9th inning with the lead. The problem was the 9th inning.
Yeah, the 9th inning was the problematic portion of the bullpen. The bullpen was, it's funny because we obviously, this is just human nature. We remember the thing that happened most recently. We tend to forget the entire story, right? The reason the Dodgers were able to have that incredible starting rotation at the end of the season is because they leaned on the bullpen as heavily as they did in the early part of the season. Remember, guys like Alex Vezia and many, many others were pitching an incredible amount of innings early in the season. And because, other than Yamamoto, the entire starting rotation was basically in the trainer's room waiting to go for the end of the season. So they have some really talented guys in that bullpen. And then, of course, with the addition of Diaz, that kind of kicks it over the top. But Vezia and Scott, and then you look at some of these guys that could be coming back, whether it's Gratterall or whoever else, you want to kind of run out there in this bullpen. If they just kind of go back to their normal expectations, maybe not exceeding expectations, but just the most logical place that they might land, they got a lot of talented guys down there.
Yeah, when you're talking about Vesia and Banda, you're talking about two guys who had career highs in games. For Banda, career highs in innings. Vesia wasn't far away from his career high in innings, and he was out for 3 weeks, if I recall correctly, towards the end of the season. If not, he would have easily surpassed his career high in that aspect.
Tough.
So
yeah, he's just a tough competitor. He's just a really, really valuable piece of your team.
No doubt about it. So I love it that right there, when I was going through the list, I was like, bullpen, that's interesting. But it's like, hey, all they needed was a true hammer at the back end. And if a few rebound candidates hit, this becomes unfair for the Dodgers when it comes to the guys throwing the ball out to the batters.
Yeah, no, they have fixed what was their most obvious problem. Their most obvious need, question mark, was who pitches the ninth inning on a regular basis. And now they've taken care of that with Edwin Diaz. And if Tanner Scott doesn't bounce back, okay, then you have Edwin Diaz. If Tanner Scott does bounce back, you have a right-left 1-2 punch in that 8th and 9th inning that you can really match up with that could be absolutely devastating for opponents. So they've got it covered both ways. If Scott comes back, great. If he doesn't, oh, well, you're not going to bat 1,000. You missed on that one, and you just kind of write it off and you move on to the next one. But I do like that they didn't hope that it was going to happen. They made sure that there's an escape route if they need one.
The biggest non-story of them all, Travis, I saw somebody is like, oh, Brandon Gomes just said that Edwin Diaz will be the Dodgers closer. I was like, duh, what else is he going to come and do? He's going to be the 9th inning guy, except whenever there's a back-to-back or where he already pitched in 2 days in a row and he needs a day's rest. He's going to be closing 90% of the Dodgers games when they have the lead in the 9th, and it's a 3-run lead or even shorter.
Did they announce that Freddie Freeman's going to play first base too?
Right. And what about Shohei Ohtani, as he's a starting DH for this team? So number 1 in 3 spots, top 5 in 2 others, first base and shortstop. The ones that Travis, he had a good legitimate shot at getting those number 1. They're top 5. Freddie Freeman is still Freddie Freeman. You pencil him in, you move on. He's getting older, yes. Mileage matters, but until proven otherwise, this is still one of the safest positions on the roster. And it's the same thing now with shortstop, where we have to take a moment and appreciate how absurd this is that the Dodgers have a top 5 WAR in shortstop projection into 2026, because Mookie Betts, that wasn't his position last year. He had only been there a handful of times, and now he's one of the best in baseball. He was a Gold Glove finalist this year for that position.
Well, think about it, right? That the questions that we all had about Betts making the transition from the outfield to the infield to the shortstop spot in particular was, is he going to be able to do it defensively? Is he going to kill them by his inexperience and his, trying to learn on the job? And it was, and the assumption was always, well, at least he'll hit like crazy. The opposite was kind of true. He was an elite level defensive shortstop, and was kind of hey, what the heck happened to Mookie Betts offensively? Now, he had some pockets where he was a little bit better. I think this is one of the more interesting things that we're going to have going into the 2026 season, is whether or not Mookie is Mookie offensively. Clearly, he can play shortstop. Clearly. I mean, he's knows
comfortable there now.
Yeah, he's good. He is a major league caliber shortstop, which is an amazing accomplishment. But what makes him Mookie Betts is the bat that he brings to the table, and he didn't last year. So let's see whether or not he bounces back offensively. Because if they get, let's say you get 85% of what you would expect Mookie to be offensively, that's an all-star level player. If he's 100% of what Mookie Betts does offensively, forget about it. That's an MVP candidate right there. So, that they have what they have at short is an incredible development.
Yeah, that's the only real question is whether his bat
Yeah.
rebounds fully or not. And even with that question, this is still a luxury that most teams don't have. So right there, top 5 WAR projection in DH, bullpen, rotation, first base, and shortstop. That makes an amazing team. Top 10 and one more, catcher, where they have number 9 because nothing has changed behind the plate. Will Smith remains one of the most reliable catchers in all of baseball. He hits, he handles pitching staffs, and he shows up every year, and he keeps getting better and better and better. The intrigue is the backup spot because Dalton Rushing is still a wild card. The bat didn't translate immediately, but I'll say that a big part of that was opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's if we're giving out grades in school, Dalton Rushing gets an incomplete. We just didn't see enough of it. We just don't know. I don't think you could say it worked. I don't think you can say it didn't work. He just wasn't given enough chances to kind of hold down that spot in a real way. I think he'll get an opportunity. You said that Smith was number 9, Harry. Is that what it was?
The catcher position overall for the Dodgers is number 9.
I would love to know the 8 guys that are better than Will Smith. There are not 8 players at that position that I would. There might not be one guy ahead of Will Smith that I would take. There might be maybe 1 or 2, but there sure as aren't 8 of these guys. I'll take Will Smith all day long.
Same here, but you look over at other teams and they'll say Cal Raleigh, Adley Reshman, William Contreras, JT Realmuto, and maybe those projections are a little bit better for them. But even there, I would take Will Smith over most of them. But
I'll listen to Raleigh. Like Raleigh, sure. That's a 60 home run bat. Sure. Okay. The rest of them, get out of here. No chance.
Exactly. Now, third base. Number 12, that's a top 15 spot for the Dodgers. Max Muncy's bat, it still plays. The issue right here isn't performance. It's his availability because he's been banged up and the Dodgers clearly expect to manage his workload. And that's where an Alex Freeland becomes interesting for the boys in blue. And that's why it's not ranked a top 10 position for the Dodgers.
Yeah, Muncy to me is the most underrated, underappreciated, quiet Dodger of this entire run. Max Muncy is a 30 home run bat. Virtually the only variable in that is whether or not he plays enough to get enough at bats to hit his 30 home runs. He's going to hit you 30 home runs. He has become an acceptable third baseman. Nobody's going to get him confused with Nolan Arenado or anything like that, but the guy can play third base and he can hit a bunch of home runs. He's going to bat in the middle of the order where there's some absolute nightmares. He is a high level contributor to this team.
And the part that sometimes the very few hair I have left, I just start pulling them out is that when you have guys at the top of the lineup where Shohei might be swinging and missing and striking out in 3 pitches or popping out in 1-2 pitches, when you have the starter just pitch 8 times or 10 times in the top of the order, then the next guy comes up, Max Muncy, he can look at 10 pitches and get a walk and make the pitcher be like, all right, now I can't have an easy as a day because Max Muncy is there. Yes, the home runs are amazing. The walks is a part of his game that I absolutely love. So third base for the Dodgers, number 12 out of the major league teams. Now outfield, this is the interesting part. Center field, number 11. Right field, number 14, left field, number 18. This is the conversation, in my opinion. The outfield, because they're not bad, but it's also not special as it's constructed at the moment because health concerns, defensive limitations, Teoscar Hernandez, role players projected into real playing time. This is where a big swing makes the most sense, in my opinion, before we kick off the 2026 season. And for the Dodgers, even though it's not the weakest spot with the projections for WAR in 2026, that second base, 23rd right there, 23rd at the moment for the Dodgers. I feel that the big swing is going to come in the outfield before everything is said and done.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's the most obvious spot where you would want to get better, kind of looking at what they have right now. But, I think that, and look, you're a Dodger fan. I'm a Dodger fan. The vast majority of people that are watching this are Dodger fans. You don't get everything that you want, right? I mean, think about what we're talking about, that if this is, you got a bunch of guys in the teens in that particular spot, that's actually kind of okay. And Teoscar Hernandez, we know what he's been able to do. I think Page's trajectory is headed in the right direction. I'm assuming they're putting Tommy Edman as the third outfielder in there. Maybe but yeah, it's okay. It's not great. But again, if you got to play with those guys 150 games, I think you're pretty darn pleased that you got those guys out there.
Yeah, if your big question marks is one of the outfield guys in second base, where you're going to be potentially rotating Kim, Tommy Edman, and Miguel Rojas, all capable, but none of them are like the starter for 140 plus games in this season. I feel like, okay, we got two not holes in the roster or in the lineup, just two not guys in the roster who are a Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman kind of guy in the roster. Most teams would prefer that because most teams have top three, top four players, and then everything else is like, man, hopefully we can get something out of these guys. The Dodgers literally have Tommy Edman, a National League Championship Series MVP. They got Miguel Rojas, their hero from the World Series last year, both with the bat and with the glove. They got Kim, who projects to be a way better player than he was last year now that he's adapted to Major League Baseball. I feel that the Dodgers, they don't need to do much, but if they want to lap the field, the outfield is the lever right there, and just the last spot that they can fix to get everything to like a ridiculous level. It's already in a ridiculous level for the Dodgers. We can't complain as fans of the team. Just be like, hey man, let's fix this right here. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, a fan turns down $2 million for a Shohei Ohtani baseball, and now the gamble could pay off in a historic way.
NFL Sundays, they move fast, right? One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. So every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, right? We got a big Thursday night game coming up, the Rams and the Seahawks, which is going to be wild. And that's when live betting is at its best, when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense, both Rams and Seahawks, that starts to tighten up, and the momentum flips after a big turnover. What up, Sam Darnold? FanDuel lets you jump right into the moment with live spreads and money lines adjusting instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown score, drive results, totals, and a whole lot more. It's just going to keep you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Dodgers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. An Ohtani ball is up for auction. Let's talk about one of the most unbelievable fan stories in Dodgers history. A fan goes to the fourth game of the National League Championship Series in 2025 and catches a Shohei Ohtani home run, but not just any home run, his third home run of the game in what could be one of the most unbelievable performances ever in baseball history. It's already one of it, but if you go into the future, 1,000 years down the line, they might still be talking about this game unless robots are playing the game and they're hitting 4 home runs and throwing a no-hitter on the same time. But a moment that felt like the peak of October baseball, and immediately the offers started coming in, Travis. Big offers, life-changing offers, including one reportedly worth around $2 million, and he said no. That tells you, it's like, hey man, there's people in his ear telling him, hey, you can reach way more if you go to the open market. And that's what's happening. It's going up to auction. That's incredible. Imagine going to a game and then your life changes because you were at the right place at the right time.
No, it's literally winning the lottery, right? I guess it's better odds because there's only 50,000 people at Dodger Stadium and it landed to one. But yeah, it's extraordinary. $2 million is an incredible amount of money. Like you said, it's life-changing money. It can set you up for a very, very long time. Managed correctly, it can last a very, very long time. Seems low, right? Like, I mean, when you think about it, when you think about the history of what Ohtani did that night, and I believe you said this was the third homer, right? This is the one that went over the roof. And not a lot of balls go over the roof. Not a lot of balls go over the roof in the playoffs. Not a lot of balls go over the roof in the playoffs when the friggin' pitcher is the guy that hit it over the roof. One of the greatest players of all time, the greatest player of his era. So this seems particularly special to me. $2 million seems like maybe a bargain. And I think that's, like you said, Harry, whoever is advising this person probably understands that as well. These things rarely go down, right? Like, and I'm not the world's biggest memorabilia expert, but I've talked to a handful of people about this stuff, and what it's worth today, it will probably be worth more tomorrow, and more a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So yeah, I'm not surprised that they turned it down. It would be hard if somebody said to you, hey, I got $2 million for you today, do you want it? It would be hard to say no, but not knowing this particular individual's financial situation, maybe they are not in a need for a windfall today, and a larger one a year from now, 2 years from now could really come in handy.
To put things into perspective, Travis, only 2 baseballs have sold for over $2 million. The most expensive one, Shohei Ohtani's 50th home run ball when he founded the 50-50 Club, $4.4 million pretty much, $4,392,000. Mark McGwire's 70th home run ball, $3.05 million. So it's not too crazy to say. It's like if somebody comes and offers you the third most amount of money for baseball ever sold in the history of the sport, that's a lot of money. But right here, he chose to put this ball up for auction, betting that what Ohtani represents to Dodgers fans, to baseball, to his country of Japan, could drive the value even higher, because this wasn't just a bat flip moment. This was a night where Shohei Ohtani felt like the center of the baseball universe, pitching, hitting, dominating, ending a series in a sweep. That matters in the collectible world.
Look, I'm 54 years old, okay? I can remember Reggie Jackson hitting 3 home runs in one game. I saw it. I watched it. I remember it. Okay, I was 7 years old at the time. So fast forward, 7 minus 54 is fast forward 47 years from now, there's going to be a 54-year-old guy who's looking at this, who struck it rich, doing something along the way, who's going to want that baseball, right? Who's going to remember it, not just because of what it represents, but because of the nostalgia that it brings back. These things live forever, right? And I kind of respect that somebody's holding on to it, holding out for a little bit more. Now, if the guy needs the money, sell the darn thing. Go live the rest of your life. Go enjoy the money. Buy your insurance and your house and your car, whatever it is you need to go pay for. But I kind of dig that the guy's holding on to it, seeing what else he can get.
Yeah, and the baseball is actually going to be put up for auction later this month by Golden Auctions. I don't know if you follow them on Netflix. I watched the full 2 seasons that they had, King of Collectibles, the Golden Touch, and it was a fascinating 2 seasons, and the third one is coming up very soon, December 23rd, and I think that that's the day that the ball is going up for auction as well, the day that the 3rd season releases, and it's amazing what they just do to go up to people, and it's like, hey, I know you have a great collectible. We put it up for auction. We got the right people to buy, and it's going to make you a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure they have like a buyer's premium.
Sure.
$2 million is what somebody might have spent on right now. Then when it goes up for auction, they still got to pay a little bit extra. This ball could easily be fighting that 50-50 ball.
Look, it only takes, much like Scott Boras, when he takes one of his players into free agency, it only takes one. You don't need 10 people that think it's worth 3 million, 5 million, 10 million. You need one, right? And if somebody really wants it, then you might get what you're looking for, because, you know what? Put it to you this way. If you've got the resources to spend $2 million on a baseball, you probably have 3 or 4 or 5 to do it, right? So if you want it, somebody may pay for it.
If Mark Walter wants to buy the baseball to give it over to Shohei Ohtani, can you imagine the type of good graces? Exactly. And look, Shohei Ohtani items don't behave like normal memorabilia. They don't just appreciate, they transcend. This isn't just Dodgers history. This is baseball history. So when the final bid comes in, nobody should be surprised if that too good to turn down offer ends up looking way down to what the final offer ends up becoming. All right, next on Locked On Dodgers, we're diving into one of the loudest, weirdest debates of the postseason, the criticism of our guy, Joe Davis. Is it fair, or are fans completely missing what his job actually is? Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers, not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rogers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Joe Davis and the impossible job. If you spent any time online during the postseason, you probably seen it. The Joe Davis discourse. Some fans accused him of being too pro-Dodgers. Others said he wasn't pro-Dodgers enough. And somehow both sides were loud. They were very loud because let's remember, Joe Davis, he has been the voice of the Dodgers since taking over Vince Scully. An impossible task in itself. And he's also become one of the premier national broadcasters in the sports. And that right there is where the tension comes in, Travis, where you work for a team, but you're also on a national TV partner of Major League Baseball and have the very hard task of somewhere being in the middle. But it's two completely different jobs, Travis.
Look, I in the interest of full disclosure, right over here, over my my left shoulder here, this bobblehead that I'm pointing at, if you're watching us on YouTube, that's a Joe Davis bobblehead. Okay, so I like Joe Davis. I've gotten a chance to talk with Joe Davis on a couple of occasions. I think he's absolutely awesome. So let me just put that out there. You know you're doing a good job when both sides tell you you're doing a bad job. That's how you know that you have struck exactly the right tone, where your hometown people are like, yo, man, what's up? You're not doing it like you do a Dodger game. Right. You know you're doing a good job when the people from the national line are like, yo, man, you're doing it for your own team. What's going on? That's how you know you've struck exactly the right tone. He is as good as it gets. This is the reason that men like him get jobs like that. It's because they are so good at it. Whether you listen to him do a football game, whether you listen to a baseball game, he has excitement, he has tone, he has measure, he has the exact right vocabulary to meet these incredible moments. Yes, he is a Dodger announcer. The Dodgers are not going to have the 4th or 5th or 28th best announcer in baseball. They're going to have the best one, the same way that they had Vince Scully a million years ago. This is LA. We get the best people to do the best jobs. This is why you get Chick Hearn. This is why you get, a Bob Miller. This is why you get a Vince Scully and all of these guys along the way. Jaime Jarrín, right? You get the very best people to work here because these are the very best jobs. This is the way that it works. The criticism is goofy and silly. He is like you said, Harry, he did the impossible. He stepped in after Vince Scully had retired and everybody went, okay, think about that. Think about how many people were ready to go. Who is this guy? I can't believe they replaced Vin Scully with this guy. This is a travesty. This is an outrage. Scully would be mortified to hear this. And everybody went, oh yeah, this guy's pretty good. That is the highest compliment that you could possibly give a guy.
And he was so young when he took the job. Like right now, he's 38 years old. He took over in 2016. That was nearly 10 years ago. He wasn't even in his 30s, and he was doing an incredible job back then. And right now, I'll say it, he's one of my favorite announcers ever. I really enjoy listening to him to such a degree that last year when Steven Nelson started taking more games, I was like, man, no, I want to listen to Joe Davis. But I also get it. He's doing the National Fox games on weekends. He's doing other gigs at times where it's like you get Steven Nelson. And now I'm like, yo, I'm a huge Steven Nelson fan as well because I've gotten to hear him more. And it was the same case. Joe Davis, the first year, I was like, man, I want Vince Scully back because he's Vince Scully. But then in year 2, I was like, dude, Joe Davis isn't just very knowledgeable with the team. He's very knowledgeable with the sport. And he always seems to have the right call for the right time that makes the moment even bigger. That means celebrating big moments if you're a national broadcaster or a local broadcaster. And I'll just tell you in my personal experience, Travis, I'm the Spanish announcer for the Las Vegas Raiders and for the USC Trojans. So when the Raiders score a touchdown, there's going to be hype. There's going to be excitement in my voice. I'm not calling the touchdowns for the other teams the same way because I'm on the Raiders broadcast.
Right.
Same thing with the Trojans. A lot of fans, and I've been very overwhelmed at times that I'm like cruising through a tailgate out in Notre Dame and I see a group of people, oh, snap, it's a Spanish announcer. And then they go and say the touchdown call like me. And I'm like, oh, snap, I awesome. Didn't see it that way. But it's like, hey, for people, because USC posted on their social media and they blast it out in a different way where I'm like, yo, it's great that we reach people and that they get excited that way. But the reality is, if I were doing a national broadcast with USC and with Notre Dame, I'd be calling the touchdowns the same way. And the only difference would be if you're in the final minute of the game and they score the touchdown, whichever team to take the lead to get the win, that's the biggest call of the game. And you don't have that same excitement as you did in the first quarter early in the game as you do for a game-winning touchdown. And Joe, he just epitomizes what a great broadcaster is. And I'm so happy that he is having the run of his life because he's got NFL, he's got Major League Baseball, college football. It's the dream for guys. And look, if he wanted to, he could have one of those top 2 or 3 spots in the Fox rotation instead of just being like one more guy included in there just because of all his obligations outside of NFL Sundays.
He's as good as there is. It's simply put, he's as good as there is, and he's as good as there is in more than one thing. Like you said, he does football, he's baseball, the national voice of baseball, All-Star Game, World Series, and yeah, the criticism of these things is always kind of falls on deaf ears to me because yeah, these guys work in real places because they are working for real teams and they get exposure and they're very, very good at it. And I don't even want to say another team because I don't want to put anybody else's broadcasters in a weird spot because they've done it. There's only 30 of these jobs. You know this, Harry. They're hard jobs to get, and you have to be very, very good at it to get them. But the levels that some of these teams operate on are a little different. There's just there are levels to this stuff, and he's at the very highest level.
Yeah, Joe Davis isn't just good. Dude is elite. And if the worst criticism is that everyone wants him to sound like he's on their side, that right there is a major compliment. Joe Davis, shout out to you. If you ever want to come on the pod, you're more than welcome. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Thank you so much for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Did Locked On make your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our National Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. For those of you on video, we send you over to the first ever 24/7 Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen our buddies over at Locked On MLB. We'll be back with more very, very soon here on Locked On Dodgers. Travis, it might be December. We might be waiting still 3+ months for the season to start, but there's always something to talk about when it comes to the Dodgers baseball.
All day, every day, 365 days a year. Can't wait. Spring training, get here soon.
Exactly. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.